astray, and take my pleasure when I lost my way. For then 'twas mine to trace the hilly heath, and all the mossy moor that lies beneath. Here had I favourite stations where I stood, and heard the murmurs of the ocean flood, with not a sound beside, except when flew aloft the lapwing or the grey curlew, who with wild notes my fancied power defied, and mocked the dreams of solitary pride. I loved to stop at every creek and bay, made by the river in its winding way, and call to memory, not by marks they bear, but by the thoughts that were created there. Pleasant it was to see the seagulls strive against the storm, or in the ocean dive with eager scream, or when they dropping gave their closing wings to sail upon the wave. Then as the winds and waters raged around, and breaking billows mixed their deafening sound, they on the rolling deep securely hung, and calmly rode the restless waves among, nor pleased it less around me to behold, far up the beach the yeasty sea foam rolled, or from the shore upborne to see on high, its frothy flakes in wild confusion fly, while the salt spray that clashing billows form gave to the taste a feeling of the storm. The waves on the seashore. Roll on, you restless waves that toss about and roar. Why do you all run back again when you have reached the shore? Roll on, you noisy waves, roll higher up the strand. How is it that you cannot pass that line of yellow sand? Make haste, or else the tide will turn. Make haste, you noisy sea. Roll quiet across the bank, and then far on across the lee. We may not dare, the waves reply, that line of yellow sand is laid along the shore to bound the waters and the land, and all should keep to time and place, and all should keep to rule, both waves upon the sandy shore, and little boys at school. The tide rises, the tide falls, by Henry Wadsworth Longfellow. The tide rises, the tide falls, the twilight darkens, the curlew calls. Along the sea sands damp and brown, the traveller hastens toward the town, and the tide rises, the tide falls. Darkness settles on roofs and walls, but the sea in the darkness calls. The little waves with their soft white hands efface the footprints in the sands, and the tide rises, the tide falls. The morning breaks, the steeds in their stalls stamp and neigh as the hostler calls. The day returns, but nevermore returns the traveller to the shore, and the tide rises, the tide falls. The sound of the sea, instant, white and whist, a grace too exquisite to keep, a picture springing from the mist as a dream comes shining out of sleep. I do not know what name he wrote, our captain, in his good ship's log, for that sea wraith, how men denote our fleeting phantom of the fog. But yet, across the world I thrill with rapture of that ivory gleam, that sudden shaft of glory, till it whirs the wonder of a dream. The Lighthouse Keeper by Helen Emma Mowring. In the lonely twilight hour, looking forth from his old tower, when the sunset glow has faded in the west, then he sees the distant things steeped in purple of the kings, while the breezes come to chill at night's behest. Then the colour from the air sinks to God but knows just where, and the interval of deepened twilight grows, but the gleaming streaks of light from his tower of the night send their word to every ship that comes or goes. The Lighthouses by Lucy Larcom. Baker's Island. Two pale sisters all alone on an island bleak and bare, listening to the breakers moan, shivering in the chilly air, looking inland towards a hill, on whose top one aged tree wrestles with the storm wind's will, rushing wrathful from the sea. Two dim ghosts at dusk they seem, side by side, so white and tall, sending one long hopeless gleam down the horizon's darkened wall. Spectres, strayed from plank or spar with a tale none lives to tell, grazing at the town afar, where unconscious widows dwell. Two white angels of the sea, guiding wave-worn wanderers home, sentinels of hope they be, drenched with sleet and dashed with foam, standing there in loneliness, fireside joys for men to keep, through the midnight slumberless, that the quiet shore may sleep. Two bright eyes awake all night to the fierce moods of the sea, eyes that only close when light dawns on lonely hill and tree. O kind watchers, teach us too steadfast courage, sufferance long, where an eye is turned to you, should a human heart grow strong. By the Sea by Elsie Cooper. On either hand a sweep of tawny sand, with gentle curve extending smooth and wide, on which the bold rocks look down with dark and sullen frown, slopes out